and welcome to another episode of Who Would Win, a show that completely ignores anything important happening in the world and instead focuses on characters from worlds of comics, superhero, sci-fi, anime, and all of geek culture. I'm your host, James Gavsie, and as always, I'm joined by the one and only Eric Holmes. In today's episode, a rage-fueled ninja who's toppled empires and rewritten reality with sheer willpower crashes headfirst into the strongest modern sorcerer possibly, ever. The man who bends infinity itself and treats special great curses like minor inconveniences. In one corner, you have Naruto Uzumaki, rep by Eric Holmes, the ninth Hokage in spirit, and the living embodiment of never giving up, a fox-powered whirlwind of shadow clones. And in the other corner, you have Satoru Gojo, rep by James Gavsie, me, of course, Jujutsu Kaisen's limitless prodigy, a walking domain of infinity where every attack phases out of existence. I gotta give it up to our writers. This is crazy stuff to come up with this. I mean, this is insane. As usual, I did the patented Who Would Win Google test just to see how many times this matchup has been discussed, and this blew me away how often this very matchup has been discussed. I gotta tell you, Naruto is kind of like considered one of the top anime and manga series of all time, and now Jujutsu Kaisen, a recent kind of welcome addition to all of this, is really blowing up like crazy. This is a titanic battle. Eric, I gotta know, what are your thoughts in today's matchup?
It's a beautiful thing. It's a very fluid type situation.
Speaking of fluid, okay,
and it blew you away.
It did. So I know, according to my family and other people I work with, I spend way too much time researching these characters. Mm-hmm. How do you literally, like, we produce these episodes? What is your process? How do you figure out the information you need to present, the strategies for all these characters? I mean, I find it's a lot to keep up with. It's
a lot. Honestly, the YouTube community has been really helpful. I find that a lot of creators get into these characters and they do clips and voiceovers of them. So I've been able to find a lot of just cool information, different ideas, different angles for my guy as to how he can win. So
wait, let me interrupt this. The presiding judge has to interrupt on that.
This is our judge. I got to introduce you first before you jump in with some wisdom. Making another appearance on the Who Would Win show. I've been practicing, by the way. It's another appearance by the unofficial mayor of Beverly Hills, often called the only adult in the room whenever we produce a podcast. It's the one, it's the only, it's Tadeo. Tadeo, welcome back to another episode of Who Would Win.
I'm so excited to be here, and the only thing that can fuel me as much as this battle that we're about to get underway is the Erwan. I have two dishes here. You can see I don't look at the check. I just order it all. I'm out the bar, right?
Wow.
But I want to know this, Eric. I know you went to college. Yes. I think I went, but I know you went. Were you this good of a student? Because you come very well researched
I want to thank you.
to these battles. And I'm just curious. I know James enjoys this and has done it for decades.
Decades.
Exactly. But I want to applaud you on your homework.
Thank you. Tadeo, to answer your question, I find that we always go with the times, right? And it's just amazing, the information. First of all, what Who Would Win does in the first place, how we find these battles that you only find on our platform.
Yes.
And on top of that, I just love to, make sure that I look at other people's work, right? Everyone's just creating, contributing, putting their own take on things. And of course, we love the creators of this series and everything, but I find that it's a age of information and just so much fun, cool things happening in this space out there. So,
it's so funny. You mentioned YouTube kind of being one of your educational sources, right?
Yeah, I got my degree in it now.
That's fair. I mean, so you know what? Sooner or later, that's going to be a thing. When my kids often come to me and they're like, "Hey, I need to figure out how to do insert." Whatever it is here, math, English, whatever it is, advanced geometry. They're like, hey, how do we do this? Can you explain it to me? And of course I can't. And I said, hey, have you checked out YouTube?
Right.
Have you YouTubed this yet? And they're
not
like,
that everything's true on there.
Not that everything's true, but I mean, I've been telling them for a while to go to YouTube to check it out. Now it's ChatGPT. The whole point is this. I've been using that a lot too, but what YouTube doesn't help with is figuring out the exact strategy to use. And what YouTube also doesn't help with is figuring out what is in Eric's head as a strategy to bring to this. YouTube only goes so far, by the way. It's up to me and Eric, I guess, to figure out what each other is going to be saying, how we're going to be saying it. And by the way, I say I'm not often right. I've missed a lot of, like, you've zigged when I've zagged and the whole thing, but I'm kind of enjoying the show. Now, with that being said, we got to get to today's episode, but before we do, let's go over the rules, or the basics, if you will, of a who would win match. Now, each debater will make 3 points. Keep in mind that the who would win match is a random encounter in a neutral location with no prior knowledge or prep time allowed, and the debater has to stay within the confines of the character. And when it comes to determining the winner, it's the judge who has the final say and will determine which character lost based on death, incapacitation, or battlefield removal, with no outside interference being allowed. Remember, the bottom line in who would win match is that for one side to get the win, their opponent must be somehow incapacitated for a minimum of 2 minutes where they pose no threat whatsoever. And before we get started, we need to thank our sponsor for today's episode. Yet again, it's VetStream TV. VetStream TV, thank you so much, is a free streaming platform dedicated to showcasing films, documentaries, and stories by veterans and independent filmmakers, supported by the veteran community. It features award-winning titles, including content from the VetStream TV Film Festival, the MVAs, which is coming up again in late May, focusing on authentic veteran-driven narratives without paywalls, as well as featuring my own superhero short film. You know what? I see the eye rolls. Screw it. I'm still going to promote it. Alpha Initiative Zero, from the great minds of the Creative Extreme. Check them out at www.thecreativeextreme.com. And you can check it all out on VetStream TV. Look up Alpha Initiative Zero, and it's free to sign up right now. Go to VetStream.com to sign up right now and get your free membership. I think it's going to be free for a while. Maybe not. So you better do it right now. All right. Now, let's get to the tale of the tape for both of our combatants. Eric, please give us the details for Naruto Uzumaki.
Yes, I will. So, born from tragedy, sealed with a tailed beast, and forged through endless battles, Naruto isn't just a ninja. He's a living definition of escalation through sheer willpower. He stood against Akatsuki monsters, godlike threats, and world-ending wars, and the pattern is always the same. The longer the fight lasts, the more clones he spams, the bigger the Rasengan gets, and the harder it becomes to put him down. He doesn't need a perfect plan, because his plan is never stop fighting. And for all the chaos, there's a strange core to him. Naruto is hope with a fox inside, sometimes protection, sometimes vengeance, sometimes just refusing to lose, but always unstoppable once he taps into that 9 tails chakra.
Well done, Eric. That was your radio voice is really coming along.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome. All right, sorry. Here are the facts for Gojo. Forged in the modern jiu-jitsu world of cursed energy and ancient clans, Gojo isn't just strong, he's the strongest. The man who stands alone at the peak because his limitless technique literally makes touching him impossible. From dismantling special grade curses with casual flicks to dominating entire battlefields with his domain expansion, Gojo has built a reputation on untouchable precision, overwhelming power, and the kind of tactical genius that turns this should be impossible into you never had a chance. If Naruto is raw determination given chakra, Gojo is controlled perfection with 6 eyes that see everything coming. And now you have the facts on both opponents. Tadeo, do you have any questions before we get started?
Yes. Did you mimic your jujitsu after Gojo?
It's funny. Unlike Gojo, I actually have to touch the people to do my jujitsu, whereas Gojo is untouchable. I do wear a blindfold sometimes. Yeah. Oh, and not in class, but just another.
I thought you did the sensory deprivation. No, you just randomly. He drives down. I saw you on Venice.
Yeah.
You were the one holding up traffic.
I was.
This is unacceptable.
It's him.
You know what? You know what? Come at me, bro. What are you gonna do? No, actually, I did screw with someone. Teslas have full service driving, so I did blindfold myself while I was driving. I had full service driving. I was like, yeah, and then
he didn't want to see none of it.
No, and then guess what happened? The Tesla was like, stop doing that. It literally was like beeping at me and saying it was going to stop the car if I kept it. All right, Eric,
all this will be cut.
This is about to get insane, but I'm all for it. Go ahead and hit your point number 1.
So yes, I want to get into his strength, speed, and durability. So the benchmark of shonen willpower. Naruto isn't just strong for a ninja. He's the unit of measurement for late game escalation. In a Naruto world, people don't say really powerful. They say Naruto level. That's his reputation. If you're in his tier, you're a top shelf monster. He has strength that shatters mountains and moons. Naruto, in 6 Paths Sage mode, has traded blows with god-tier opponents like Kaguya and Momoshiki, overpowering planetary threats and casually dismantling large-scale constructs. His raw physical power lets him throw Rasengans the size of buildings and trade punches that level landscapes. He's got insane speed and mobility. His movements are literally on another level, from outpacing lightning timers to crossing battlefields in a blink of an eye with shadow clones creating overwhelming numbers. He doesn't just run, he floods the whole field with hundreds of versions of himself. Now that's scary. His durability is so strong, it literally laughs at fatal injuries. He's tanked planetary devastation level attacks, survived extraction of his tailed beast, and kept fighting through wounds that would end anyone else. And all that, James, is my point number one.
Really, so like there's no buildup here, right? You're just going to like, hey, he's like God tiered and he's like got planet shadow. That's where you're starting this, right?
I gotta let you know who he is. I gotta let you know who you're dealing with in this battle.
Okay, I just like how the fact is like, you know, I'm not gonna have a slow buildup. Hey, so his background's a little bit like this, and when he was young, like you know, he was invited to parties, and therefore he's all angry and now angsty, and he tapped it. None of that whatsoever from Eric. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm starting to understand the way you kind of debate. It's a battle.
It's a battle.
Okay. Again, not disagreeing with any of this. Naruto is a heavy hitter, especially when he taps into what he can tap into. But I'm just going to lean on something here. He's got to actually hit whoever he's fighting. He's got to be able to hit whomever he's fighting. If he throws a ton of attacks, a lot of physical attacks, energy-based attack, whatever he's doing, goes tapping into whatever he's tapping into, if none of that actually hits his opponent, it doesn't matter. I'll get into more of that later. Just keep that in mind, Judge Tadeo. I'm going to be leaning on that a lot.
Let's go.
Note made it.
Thank you very much. All right, let me get to my point number one. And let's talk about Gojo's physicals, you know, and a sorcerer who hits like, I don't know, untouchable divinity. That's what I'm just going to call it, right? So this is the thing. You mentioned how strong Naruto is. Gojo isn't just strong for a human. He's the kind of strong where the concept of distance and contact starts feeling unsafe. And I'm saying that because when you watch Gojo fight opponents, you know, he's smiling, he's kind of screwing around with them. And that is something I like to do when I'm doing martial arts. Eric, you've noticed that as well. It's just kind of a fun thing to do with people.
For sure.
And then all of a sudden his opponent's like, oh, I got in on him or whatever. And all of a sudden they realize they're not even close to him in the first place. He's so deceptive and able to kind of control the battleground. No one's really getting close enough to even lay a finger on him. And even when they think they did, they didn't. That's a whole different level of mastery. And I don't even know how to explain it. Normally I can. I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, Jujutsu Kaisen kind of frames his body and his techniques as a walking contradiction because they're physical, yet literally unreachable. And again, I don't mean to be so quantum physics like, you know, it is and it isn't, but that's how they're kind of putting this character forward. When you can't describe a character's power level other than he's really cool and it's hard to be hit because of reasons, there's a lot to unpack there. Now, his strength is equal to what's called special grade proof. And in Jujutsu Kaisen, the curses, which look like demons or monsters, what have you, they have power levels. And, you know, the special grade is kind of like considered the highest level there is. Gojo starts there, just like Eric starting Naruto is like, you know, this power, this god tier, whatever, planet buster kind of thing. And even with the most powerful curses, Gojo dismantles them before they can even register the fighting distance or the gap to get to him. He already understands what he's going to do. He's got blue and red techniques that let him manipulate space itself. And there's this devastating attraction repulsion effects. Again, I don't know how to explain this. He just knows how to get someone close or how to make sure they stay far away. Sometimes at the same time, he has durability that treats lethal threats like suggestions. Right? He's got this Gojo's infinity kind of technique, makes almost everything stop before it reaches him. So even if it's coming out in full blast, he taps in that infinity, that's what it's called, and they just stop some. I don't get how his power works. They just do. And even when someone does get past all of that, he survives these clashes, these point blank explosions, and he just keeps on fighting because his baseline is, I'm going to start off as the strongest sorcerer alive, and I just refuse to be touched effectively. Kind of like Eric on his first dates. You know, he doesn't want to be touched. I get it. But, you know, hey, I'm just saying, I read your Match.com profile.
Oh, that's how you should.
I cried a little bit.
He did try to match with me.
Well, no, I had someone, I had a suggestion, and she's like, I don't even think this guy wants to be touched. I'm like, oh my God, it's so true.
And I'm a never nude.
That's right. J-date. It was just so many, you know.
I'm on there too.
You're on too?
Yeah. Muslim date. I mean, there's all these different, you know, he's just matching with everyone.
Hey, I'm not mad at that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's...
I'm lonely, man.
We have a diversity of battles as well as dating.
That's
okay,
true.
so
it's true. It's important.
Battles
It's important. That's true. Bottom line is Gojo doesn't just hit hard. He controls the battlefield with, he's got 6 eyes with that perfect 6-eye perception because he's got 6 eyes behind that blindfold. This is just someone who forces opponents into impossible angles and turns massive attacks into non-factors through spatial manipulation. I didn't come up with that. I'm quoting Wikipedia or whatever, but it just describes him so well. I don't even know what all of this means in terms of what I just said, but somehow Gojo does, and he uses it to start off as the most powerful sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen. That's my point number 1.
Okay, so the big running point here, which you did bring our judge in early to get his attention, was like you said, can you reach him? Can you actually make contact with this guy, right? Touch him, as you said. So look, Gojo's infinity makes him extremely hard to reach, but it's not an automatic win condition on its own. Okay, it's a defensive mechanism, not offensive control. So if Naruto is being scaled at his higher tiers, his versatility, clone pressure, and massive range chakra output mean the fight doesn't rely on landing a single clean hit the normal way, but overwhelming information, space, and stamina over time. Okay, so Gojo still has to actively manage the battlefield, while Naruto can flood it with his clones and sustain attacks from multiple angles, forcing adaptation rather than allowing a static defense to decide the match by default. That's my rebuttal, James.
Yeah, just like my point number 1, I have no idea what Eric just said. Just doing, but it sounded good. It sounded good. But that's why we have the judge here.
Yeah,
that's why we have the judge here. All right, Judge Tadeo, you've heard a great point from Eric. You've heard some gobbledygook nonsense from me. Even I will admit it, but I think it just works. Where's your head at so far with this battle?
Well, I like the concept. How I'm seeing it is you have Naruto as a ninja versus Gojo and Jujutsu. So I like these styles clashing against one another. However, I think you're going to need to call a professor from MIT and kind of figure out how we deal with quantum physics, because that's something that I don't think any of us are aware of. I'm just living in this world. What I can touch is what I can see. Nice. So this is going to be interesting. I need to know how he leverages that on and off the battlefield.
That's all fair. Good stuff. And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, we'll figure this out. I think I do know, actually, but we'll see what happens. Eric, let's see what you got. Hit us with your point number 2.
All right. So next, I would like to get into, first, I want to, satisfy the judge's needs as I go. So hopefully, I can do that. That's what I'm about.
Sounds so wrong. Sounds so wrong. Just putting it. Sorry, kids at home.
Yes. Don't you worry, guys. It's going to be good. Okay. So his fighting style, talk, no jutsu meets overwhelming force. Naruto's reputation is loud orange knucklehead, but the part people forget is he's been fighting for his life since childhood. There goes a childhood mention for you there, James. I'm scaling it back a little bit for you. All right, making it emotional. Here we go. And the way he fights is its own chaotic discipline in itself. He's not just spamming attacks. He's using numbers, adaptability, and pure heart to turn battles into wars. He always wins. So first, shadow clones. Hundreds or thousands of versions of himself, all sharing knowledge and chakra. It's aerial denial, distraction, and overwhelming force rolled into one. Second, it's his arsenal scales with his emotion, okay? So his Rasengan variants, tailed beast bombs, Sage mode amps, he closes distances, grabs and turns you into a crater while still trying to talk sense into you mid-fight. That's gangster. Third, the never give up. Still, this style is very deceptive. It looks reckless until you realize you're buried under clones and a real Naruto is coming with a bigger attack. It's a kind of fight that, like fighting that looks dumb, like that drunken master kind of, but right until the opponent is exhausted, and then Naruto is still standing with the victory. So how does a little Gojo deal with all of this? It's simple. He doesn't. James, all that is my point number 2.
All right, so good stuff there. All I heard really on top of Naruto being really powerful is that sometimes he's reckless. Because he has to be.
Reckless.
He appears reckless, and I've seen him too just be reckless. Like, hey, I've got to put everything on the line, or else there's no chance, right? Which just makes him like a fun hero to watch. We love seeing Goku do that, Superman, all that. I get it. All right, so let me answer something before. When you're talking about the infinity that Gojo uses, you're right. It's not an automatic thing. He has to actively operate it or turn it on, right? Mm-hmm. But this is a thing in a who would win matchup in a random encounter, no prep, whatever. both characters are facing off against each other. They both know they're in a fight, and it's on. Boom. So that infinity is turned on. It's on right then and there. It's not like he's caught by surprise by Naruto. The moment Gojo is fighting, it's on regardless. And the great thing about infinity, it's multi-directional. Everywhere. It's kind of like a sphere around. It just goes, so he's got it all around him, which is really cool. He does have to turn it on, but the moment the fight starts, and by the way, he can probably tell how powerful, resourceful, good Naruto is. Boom, it's on. Okay, let me get to my point number two. Point number two, let's talk about Gojo's fighting style, because it's kind of like, limitless precision, with a cool multi-directional crazy problem in the form of Naruto. Because how do you actually fight against Naruto? Someone who can come at you, especially with shadow clones from every direction. Well, Gojo's got a plan. So Gojo, unlike Naruto, doesn't fight like a brute. He fights like the strongest because he is the strongest. He uses that cursed energy manipulation, that spatial and distance control, and the overwhelming information advantage to his advantage, because he can analyze things very, very quickly, right? He gets a download of information, sees what's happening, and he just knows what to do. He can easily cover every range. He's got that blue for pulling, red for repelling, purple for erasure level destruction. Really, really cool. Infinity keeps him safe, while his 6 eyes, where he uses all 6 of his eyes, so normally he's blindfolded, lets him see and counter everything. So not only is it hard to touch him, not only is that multi-directional, that infinity, he also sees everything and processes that information very quickly. There's a reason he's the most powerful sorcerer, or let me put it this way. Being the most powerful sorcerer in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, filled with powerful sorcerers, that's like saying, I'm the best quarterback in a league of amazing all-time Super Bowl winningest, quarterbacks, right? He's the best of the best, and there's a reason for that.
So he's like a GOAT, like yes. Tom Brady, Michael Jordan.
Correct.
Maybe LeBron. Okay.
Right. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. And again, unlike Naruto, Gojo kind of fights smarter, not harder. Because when you're untouchable, you just don't need to be reckless or desperate or leave openings in a fight like Naruto does. Now, by the way, again, we love seeing Naruto do it, but he gets in those positions against opponents where he's very reckless because he's desperate to get the win or kind of overcome whatever. Yeah, Gojo's completely the opposite. He's already processed information. He's 10 steps ahead, and he's like, got it. I know where you're going. I can be calm. I'm going to have a smirk on my face, and I'm going to take you out. The bottom line is Gojo's kind of like the pinnacle of jujutsu sorcery, and he's got those techniques that solve different opponent types, right? Kind of like in jujutsu. Is he a big, strong guy? Is he a fast guy? Whatever. Yeah, Gojo just sees everything as a problem or challenge to solve, and then he solves it, and he doesn't need an arm because he just needs one opening, and his whole style is built to create the opening. And the more reckless you are, the better it is for Gojo. And there's no one more reckless, if they need to be, than Naruto. That's my point number 2.
Very good points there, James, and very detailed description of what your guy can do. And back to your original start of your point with the infinity mention, right? So Gojo's infinity is a strong defense, but it doesn't automatically shut down Naruto's win condition, okay, which is constant multi-angle pressure through clones and large-scale chakra attacks. Even if attacks can't directly touch Gojo, Naruto can still force non-stop reactions, spacing adjustments, and resource use. So that sustained pressure means that Gojo has to keep actively responding rather than freely controlling the fight. So over time, that creates openings, and infinity alone doesn't guarantee this will never happen. So that's my rebuttal to that, James.
Interesting stuff, but it doesn't matter what we have to say because we're at the turning point. This is where the Judge Tadeo, tells us who they think is ahead and also what the other side has to do to get the victory. Judge Tadeo, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm liking Naruto's backstory. I mean, he wanted to ascend to Hokage, or the leader of his little tribe, and wanted to be a standout warrior. So you never get, once you have a chip on your shoulder, it never goes away. But Gojo is a sorcerer, and I wonder what means of matter manipulation he can go to, and can he find a way to, quell and stop the hatred and the anger and the frustration of a tough childhood, because those things never go away.
Okay, so who do you think is ahead?
Well, right now, I mean, you got Naruto a smidgen, because he's just driven by this anger and desire to be loved and respected. That means a lot. We fight for our respect,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not where I thought this would be going, but I'm so confident in my character. This is all fun. Eric, let's see where this goes. It's now or never. Hit us for your point number 3.
I'm going to hold on to this smidgen, baby, and I'm going to add some more. I love it. Okay, so I want to get into his biggest wins, his wildest feats, and why Gojo gets turned into a clone speed bump. So let's get into Naruto's resume, okay? It isn't I won some fights. It's I changed the whole shinobi world through pure force of will. So he's beaten godlike beings like Obito, Madara, and Kaguya. Threats that could reshape all of reality. He saved the world multiple times by brute force. Heart, gotta say heart. Yes, people forget about that. He has it. And escalating chakra. Okay, in a random encounter under 2-minute incapacitation rules, Naruto doesn't need to kill the strongest sorcerer. All he needs to do is to remove him from being a threat. And his specialty is overwhelming opponents with numbers bigger attacks and never, ever staying down. So he can flood Gojo with clones, wear down infinity through sheer volume, and keep escalating until Gojo can't keep up. The longer it goes, the worse it gets for him. Because Naruto's whole thing is you can't outlast a willpower curve that keeps going up. And all that, James, is my point number 3.
This is all good stuff. So sometimes I got to kind of go, I got to think outside the box, right?
Did you say go rogue? Okay.
Well, yeah, maybe go rogue, but I was thinking outside the box.
Okay.
And sometimes I have to call in the experts, people who have special knowledge of the characters, more so than any research that you or I could ever hope to do to help us get to that. And this is one of those occasions where I had to phone a friend. And get in contact with someone who was really in the know and knows these characters better, I think, than we ever could. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, let me just get to my point number 3. I'm also going to talk about the biggest wins and feats and also how I think Gojo's going to beat Naruto in the end, because bottom line, I've said this before, Gojo isn't just a strong sorcerer. He's literally a specialist in being untouchable. And his resume is a list of opponents who also thought they had a chance, who thought they could overwhelm him, who had a chip on their shoulder. And everyone was coming at him and was like, okay, if I just tap into this and my willpower, I'm going to do it. I know I have a chance, right up until they didn't. Because he just wrecked everybody. Look, this is someone who's dismantled the most powerful beings in Jujutsu Kaisen. He's dominated a character named Shibuya, who's insanely powerful. He stood as the modern era's strongest, and he did it with, I don't know what the right term is. It was a dominance that was casual. He wasn't always proclaiming, not Vegeta, I am this. No, he's just yeah, I'm good. And then opponents come at him and he just wrecks them easily. And he's and I was like, what the? And he's just yeah, I guess I'm okay. And then he's smiling, really thinking no, I'm really a badass, but thanks for playing kind of thing. On top of that, he's a problem solver. He likes to solve the problem. When people come at him, characters come in, they have numbers, they have power. And he just looks at that and he calls it a spatial hacks, right? And just kind of figure out how to make attacks disappear. Literally I'm just gonna make your attack disappear. I'll put you in another dimension. I can, or change the dimension we're fighting in. I'll use infinity. I can use whatever I'm going to do. Again, it's you got to touch me and I know you got to do it. And I know I can see it coming. And I'll use my 6 eyes to understand everything about you before you even get close to me. But by the way, that won't matter because you're still not going to hit me. And in case you do, I already know everything about it. My whole point is this guy has all his bases covered. He doesn't need to trade blows forever. He needs 2 minutes where Naruto can't reach him or fight back. That is nothing for him. The game plan is brutally practical. Infinity keeps the clones of Naruto and the Rasagans at bay. Blue-red controls the battlefield. Purple erases key threats. And a domain expansion ends the argument with guaranteed hits. Gojo is built to fight overwhelming forces. That's his deal. He goes for control and shut down, and he doesn't need to even land the first attack. He wants someone who's going to be coming at him full speed because that's what he does. Now, here's the thing. So a good friend of mine knows these characters insanely well. That's Adam MacArthur, who is the English dub voice of Yuji Itadori of Jujutsu Kaisen, the main character of Jujutsu Kaisen.
This guy.
That's an expert witness.
I'm calling him the expert witness.
I'm gonna give
so
him that, yeah.
I text him and I say, okay, hey, you got to tell me, Gojo versus Naruto. And he was just like, oh, that's a great battle. And normally this is someone who's insanely expressive, who just goes into great detail. And he's like, really great battle, Gojo. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, just
no
not
hesitation?
A chance. No hesitation. Gojo. And this is someone who knows Naruto, the Naruto universe insanely well as well. I mean, that's his business to know this stuff.
Is he willing to sign and send an affidavit to my office?
That's my guy.
He's willing to sign autographs. I believe it's for $50, or he'll do it for free if he really likes you. By the way, don't tell him I told you that. It's a little hack, for Adam MacArthur. But he went to he's someone who knows this, and again, he can explain everything. He's also a martial artist as well, for people who don't know. And he was like, yeah, no, Gojo wins. And I was just like, really, that's opinion. It. I mean, someone who's in the know, who has to study the characters, and he knows the Gojo character, and knows he's good friends with the person who voices Gojo as well. They talk about this stuff. This is what they do. And he's just like, no, here's why. Even he was like, no, Naruto's great. Gojo wins this hands down. In the end, Eric, this is what you've made me do. You forced my hand. I had to go to the experts themselves.
It's cold
to get this. For all the reasons I put out there, plus Adam MacArthur saying so. Gojo wins, and that's my point number 3.
All right, look. I'm gonna get to my rebuttal, but I feel that shouldn't be allowed in this battle. I think in our
jealous.
Yeah, I know. I think in our rules handbook, the experts aren't allowed to be consulted with.
You are an expert.
Well, no, outside experts from the show.
Really, you just said you went to YouTube consulting with outside experts.
I just made my notes and observations. I didn't go call in. The lifeline.
If you're not willing to do what it takes to get the win, Eric, then I'm going to question everything about who would win.
Open up that door?
Yeah, by the way, I've already been opening it for a while.
Is that right?
Yeah,
it was news to me.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse before it gets.
All right, well, it's time for me to get around town and get dirty. Yeah, all right.
I'm pretty sure
greasy.
Your
dating
profile has already been
said. Greasy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it? You're welcome.
All right. Well, what I'm going to say here as a rebuttal, I'm taking a note of that, but that aside, kind of. So, Gojo's Infinity is a strong defense, but it doesn't automatically turn off Naruto's win condition, which is sustained multi-angle pressure and escalating chakra output through clones. I'm talking about clones, people, and large scale attacks, what Naruto is capable of. So even if individual attacks can't directly hit Gojo, Naruto can still force constant reactions. He can limit Gojo's freedom to set up domain expansion and overwhelm his need for precise timing under pressure. And that's my rebuttal to you, James.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. All right. I like where this battle kind of went at the end.
It was fun, too.
It was, but it's time for us to get to a decision. Judge today, you've heard 3 points from both Eric and myself. Ooh. It's time for you just to do what you do. Take us through your process. Tell us a story, if you will, and reveal who you think wins this battle between Naruto and Gojo.
So this is going to come down to techniques and desire. So Naruto is going to angrily attack and just wage war on Gojo. So he's just all out anger, rage, and he's running and he's attacking, and Gojo's just laughing. So that enrages Naruto more. So then he says, you know what? I'm calling on my shadow clone technique. And all of a sudden he encompasses a 360 with hundreds of clones. And they're getting in on Gojo, and it's just frightening because their techniques as ninjas are stealth and they're coming in. However, as they swing and kick and go to subdue Gojo, he's not there. He's teleported and transported himself with his sorcery to another dimension. It's surreal. It's sublime, like this level of talent. And next thing you know, he's behind Gojo. Gojo's behind Naruto. And he delivers a mean, solid kick, just like a jujitsu. I mean, all just honing in all of his energy. And then as soon as he strikes that blow, then he just takes his sorcery to the next level and creates a subdomain with his high IQ. It's like a spatial hack. And all of a sudden, Naruto cannot move and he's suspended. And all of his technique and all of his clones, they all are rendered. It's just incompetent as warriors because they're in this no land. It's like submatter or minus matter. So in this epic battle of who'd win, Gojo is victorious, defeating Naruto by putting him in a plane where he cannot move, battle, or fight for 2 minutes.
And there you have it. I don't think it was really brilliant about everything you're saying is that, first of all, you kind of disseminated what I said, which I didn't even understand, but you did it because you're brilliant. But also, you kind of got to the crux of the matter. This is what I explain to people when I talk about who would win. It's not a death match, right? Everyone thinks like, well, so-and-so would kill, blah, blah, blah. Well, what if the character doesn't kill? And in this instance, I think Gojo would be like, I recognize what's going on with Naruto. And I don't think we're enemies, even though we're fighting. So let me just stop him. Let me just control him for like, and then we can talk and maybe I can calm him down or something. But I think that's exactly what he do. He's like, let me just calm him down and stop him for 2 minutes. That's all I need to talk to him, get him laughing. And then we're on the same side. We're going to go eat.
But if you think about it, that is what jujitsu is, in not being a jujitsu warrior, but in my country having so many fighters, is they don't want to maim somebody. That's not the goal. But if you come at them, they're going to have to subdue you. And he, in this case, did a non-lethal subdue of Naruto.
Wow. That's right. That's kind of like in jiu-jitsu. Wow. You just take like side control and keep the guy pinned down until they tire out. And the guy's like, hey, cool. You want to go grab some lunch or a drink or something and just talk about it? And the guy on the bottom's like tired and can't get him. He's like, okay. And that's it. And they become friends. This is a great origin team up story that you're describing. Okay. I love this. Great job, Judge Todoro. But let's see what Eric's like. Eric, you brought a lot for Naruto. Yeah, you did a great job.
I thought I did.
I will admit, I pulled one of the cheapest maneuvers you ever could. Not that Judge Todoro even relied on it, by the way.
You pulled a back page move on me.
I did. Yeah, I don't even know what a back page move is, but
low, cheap.
Wow. How do you feel about this loss?
I feel dirty, man. I feel nasty.
Really? Because you're smiling ear to ear right now as you're saying that.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm gonna literally unsubscribe from my YouTube account. All those new accounts
didn't
I
help.
to. Yeah, it didn't.
The
so
hours.
That's what I'm doing immediately when I get home.
The hours and hours of YouTube
all
research.
The likes and the comments that I've engaged.
You're removing all of them.
Yeah, and I'm like not gonna use YouTube for like the next month or so. But no, it was a good battle. Our judge, he does what he does. Took in all the information, very detailed with his decision, and I'll have to figure this one out, James. Congrats, man.
Thank you. I had to pull one of the dirtiest maneuvers ever in Who Would Win history because I got to tell you, your debating style, your strategy, everything is getting better and better every episode. And this is what you're making me do this, Eric. It's your fault for causing me to kind of do something so brilliant. You're welcome.
Hello.
I know. And by the way, for an upcoming battle that just got announced for the production team, I'm going to do something way worse. Same thing. Sorry. Right. Just warning you right now. All right, another fun fight. Tadeo, please tell everyone where they can find you online.
You can find me online at Cuerpazo and in person in the BH or at Erewhon.
I love it.
What about the Erewhon at BH?
Well, that's a staple. Yeah, that's a morning spot.
You should just own that place now. They should just call it Tadeo's.
Sponsorship on its way.
I know they have like a beaver shake. They should have a Tadeo shake. What's going on?
What is a wait? Is it made out of real beavers?
No, Justin Bieber's wife has a shake there. And people fly from around the world to get it.
Oh, because like in northern Canada, we also have a beaver shake. Like it's made out of real beaver.
Oh no, I've never.
Oh well, it's horrible. Remember, in northern Canada, fish eyes. In northern Canada, fish eyes are considered candy. So I'm just.
I won't visit.
Yeah, don't. No, stay in Erewhon, Beverly Hills. All right, very cool. Eric, again, great job today. Almost got the victory, but I pulled some dirty maneuvers, which means I got the win. But regardless, great job. Tell the Who Would Win audience where they can find you.
Yes, let's connect. All my socials are at THE Eric with the C Holmes, HOLMES.
Very cool. You can find me on X, aka Twitter, and Facebook. Is that it? Facebook by typing in at James Gavsie. You can find me on Instagram, my new account, James Gavsie _MMA, where I'm going to be showing some cool jiu-jitsu stuff, some fun stuff with martial arts, and just some big stuff coming with that. More to follow. You can also find Who Would Win on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Who Would Win Show. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube by going to at Who Would Win Show. That's right. Our podcast is only on YouTube, so check it out and subscribe. On behalf of myself, Eric Holmes, Tadeo, and the rest of the amazing Who Would Win production team, thank you once again for checking out another episode of Who Would Win. We'll see you next time.